Hello and welcome back to A New Orbit Here, episode 273. My name is Tom.
And my name's Zen.
And you can find us at abhpod.com, where if you scroll down on your device about halfway down the page, well, not quite, there is an Amazon banner. If you click through that Amazon banner and do your purchasing on there, as you usually would for pretty much everything, let's face it, then we get 5% of the total spend in your basket at the end. Doesn't change the experience for you, doesn't cost you any more, any less. It just means that we get 5% of money that would otherwise be going into Jeff Bezos' pocket.
And if you, like most of us, agree that Jeff Bezos doesn't need any more money, use that banner. Otherwise, if you're not going to shop on Amazon, right next to that Amazon banner, depending on what device you're looking at, there is a Patreon banner where if you click through that, for as little as $1 a month, you do have the option to pay more if you want, but we haven't set that. We've only set $1. You can get exclusive after the podcast. You can get spoiler casts as and when we record them, rather than waiting for them to come out like months down the line on the main feed. You get this episode, or all of our episodes, not just this episode, all of our main episodes, but without the intro, and you get them delivered. You get a special link and you paste that into your podcast app and you get them delivered automatically with a little gold thumb on the artwork just to say that you're special to us. Special to us. Not
Indeed.
just special, you're special to us.
To us, personally. You can get in contact with us as well on all the social media platforms. We're on Twitter at ABH Pod. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/ABH Podcast. And also we've got a YouTube channel, youtube.com/ABH Podcast. I said podcast for Facebook, didn't I? And I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. I'm not editing this one.
No, doesn't matter. You get ABH Pod on Facebook as well. Yeah, you can email us as well, abhpod@gmail.com. Just anything you want to get in contact with us.
Yeah.
Not fussy.
People have been because
Yes.
of the content of the last episode especially. So,
Yeah.
It's something that people need to talk about. This episode is, we touch on it a little bit, the Black Lives Matter movement towards the end, but mainly we are on here. We've got a guest again. Andrew Bartlett joins us from podcasts such as Room 173, Mating Habits of the Modern Geek, Two Loose Screws. He's a PodPal. You've heard him before. It's been a while. And he's on talking about lockdown life for him.
Over in the States, we do also touch on the fact that I've got a very expensive set of fine liners.
Mm-hmm. And but first we'll talk about the general kind of PS5 release and some of the things that are supposed to be on it, and whether or not we're all that bothered.
Mm-hmm. Enjoy.
So the big thing this last fortnight has been the PS5 release date and all that stuff. Lots of games.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Actually, like I'm focusing in something else when it comes to video games, and that happened, didn't it? Yeah. That was cool.
That was what I was, kind of saying off air. I'd imagine there's a lot of things around that, and I was quite surprised when you were like, nah.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot about that. Did you watch the actual thing as it was going on?
No, I'm not that interested.
Okay.
I don't know what's been announced. I know it's too expensive for me. I know I kind of like the look of it, but I know that I'm not going to own one for about 5 years because that's what I do.
I mean, well, you say it's too expensive for you, but the price hasn't actually been announced yet, has it?
Isn't it like 500 or 600 quid?
That's what people assume.
I see.
Like it hasn't actually officially been announced, the price of it yet.
Right.
But for the power that it's going to have and stuff like that, that's a reasonable price. I mean, when you consider the price of the PS3 when it came out.
Yeah.
And I mean, the PS4 was, I can't remember, was that around 500 as well when it first came out?
Probably. Again, I don't get these things until they do the slimline editions. Like I don't get consoles first release because they're too buggy. The games aren't finished. Like, to be fair, like I've always got way more games that I haven't finished playing on the old console. So until I've made the most of my money off the old console, I'm not moving across.
But I'm one of those people that I'm sort of have to have something as it comes out.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
I'm
not
not that
necessarily.
guy.
I mean, I say that. I mean, like the PS3, I didn't have until towards the end of its cycle. Like you had it way before me, and you had the slimline version. When I brought it, I had the fat version.
Yeah, I suppose so. So I mean, it's become more of a thing with you in the last.
Well, with the PS4
decade.
I mean, the PS4 is the first console I had on its release date.
Oh right, okay.
And when I said had it on its release date, it was in the house. And I didn't get it until like 2 or 3 months later at Christmas.
Yeah. I've got something in front of me here that's saying that Amazon France has listed the prices for the PS5 and the PS5 digital only.
Yeah.
France, it's listed as €499, and the digital edition is $399. So that converts to $477 for the one with the disc, or $358 for the one which is digital only, which is a little bit more in the ballpark of something I would be willing to pay.
Yeah.
However, it's still only £50 off £500 because I'll probably want. Well, no, actually, I won't necessarily want the ones with the disc, because a lot of the games that I've been playing recently, I've downloaded and they play. And I've got myself my terabyte hard drive and.
Yeah, and I mean we've had this conversation anyway, haven't we? About how did we have it on the last podcast where we were saying about we have too much stuff?
Probably not the last podcast,
or just last time we spoke. Then maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember. But it's because I remember having the discussion about it's just like discs and DVDs and stuff just all over the place. But the only reason I would consider getting the disc version is for the 4K Blu-ray player.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player.
Yeah,
but and I do have a 4K TV now. So
this has always been one of the major draws of the PlayStation anyway, because they've since the PS2 they've been DVD players, and then the 3 was a Blu-ray player, and they're always top notch because they're Sony. So they're good quality. It's not just a games console; it's also something that can make your Blu-rays look amazing. That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that.
So I mean that's the only reason. But like you say, I'd probably get a lot of the games. I don't know though, because I do like the physical games.
We're both physical. We were both brought up in the physical media era, weren't we? I mean, although I am, like I say, I'm starting to move away from that. I haven't bought any CDs for a long time, and now I've got Spotify and Amazon Music. I'm not entirely sure I will.
So it's one of those difficult things, because you'd say that sort of like a few years ago you might have said I would go for the disc version because the hard drive isn't that big, so I'd rather run it off the disc than the hard drive. But these days games, they just completely install onto the hard drive, and you have to dig out the disc to say yes, I have got the license to play this game on this console. And then you have to put the disc in. Whereas like the digital versions now, if it's on your console as digital, you just click it and you load it up. You don't have to root the disc out. But the digital versions, the negative for the digital versions is you're only buying a license for the digital version to that account. And if you lose access to that account, you lose the game. Whereas with the disc version, you've always got the disc.
You've always got it.
And I know someone I used to work with, he always bought the disc version because once he'd completed it, he wasn't someone who kept it and then replayed it. He just went and traded it in for credit.
That's what I've done.
To get a new game when it comes out. So in that sense, it's a kind of like, you don't need to keep the disc. You don't need to keep the game.
True. There are certain games that I have
kept. It's weird, isn't it? With disc, you can get some of your money back. And I don't know, it's weird, isn't it? It's
like I've still got a PS2.
Yeah, I have.
I think I've got, no, it's not plugged in. I've still got the PS3 plugged in. Because there are some games that I quite like on it that I never got around to finishing. And there are some games that I've gone back to and replayed, like Red Dead Redemption. And I'd imagine that'll be the same. Like Red Dead Redemption 2, I really enjoyed. I haven't gone back to replay it yet because I've been going through the Assassin's Creed series. And more recently, The Witcher. But I don't know, like I'm getting to a point now where in my life, just in general, I'm not really replaying stuff anyway. It's almost like a waste of time. I might as well be playing something new, or because I don't have all that much time to kind of play these massive games, which is why I've taken advantage of this time to play through like 2 Assassin's Creed games, and I'm quite a way into not a long way into The Witcher, but I've ploughed a decent number of hours in.
That's something I sort of battle with, because I see games and I think I love the look of that game. I need to play that game. I have to play that game. And then you sort of have to have that argument with yourself. It's like, but there's 4 of those you've said it about, and you've only got time for one. Pick one. And it's difficult. Like I think I brought Red Dead Redemption on the PS3. No, I got it when it was on PlayStation Plus. So I got it when it was free, because I never played it. And I started playing it, and I plummeted hours and hours and hours into it. And then the PS4 came out. That's how late I was on Red Dead Redemption. And then I never finished it. And this is a theme for me, never finishing these big games, because something else comes out by the time I get around to playing it. And like The Witcher, I got on the PS4 when it was, I think that was PlayStation Plus at one point.
Yeah.
Was it? Or was it just like mega cheap?
I got the full game on PlayStation Plus just at the beginning of the year.
Oh, okay.
Maybe even the beginning of this outbreak. I don't really know.
I must have got it when it was on sale then, because they wouldn't have put it on there twice. And it was like the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah.
And I plummeted. I only got like sort of 10, 15 hours into it. So I didn't like push that much time into it. But then recently I brought The Witcher 3 on my laptop because that was cheap as well.
Yeah.
But I tend to, like with my Switch and my laptop, I tend to put more hours into games on them because there's more opportunity to play them while Liz and Chloe are watching TV.
Yeah.
Because if I'm playing it if I want to play it on my PS4, I have to play it when they're not here. And as well, with doing my degree now, I don't know why I keep buying these fucking games.
Because afterwards you'll have loads of free time, I guess.
Great, yeah. Yeah, I'll have loads of time and I wouldn't know what to do with. Well, no, not if... Yeah, well, I mean, we all know how valuable degrees are, don't we, in this country?
Yeah.
Also, how expensive they've become. But, yeah, so... Yeah, and I would be playing another game at the minute as well, wouldn't I? Have you seen my Facebook post? Yeah, you have seen my Facebook post about a game I should be playing right now.
Oh, right, of course. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. That completely.
That's what I thought you were talking about at the start. Yes. Yeah, the fact I now own a £55 set of fucking fine liners.
Yeah. I genuinely thought that you were baiting people with that post.
No.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't understand how that can happen. So you went to buy The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I pre-ordered. Now here's the worst part about it. I pre-ordered the Amazon exclusive Steelbook version that comes with the art book, like the special edition. So I think it's exclusive to Amazon UK. It's just the cover art. On the Steelbook, I think it's slightly different, the Amazon version.
Yeah.
And you get like the Steelbook, you get the art book and you get like a key ring as well. Something, it was a package and I think it was like £55. I was like, yeah, I'll pre-order that edition. Yeah. And then like Friday, I had a notification, it's been dispatched, it's on its way, it'll be at your house between these hours. And then it had been delivered. And I was like, awesome, I'll install that when I get home and whack a few hours into it. And I got home, I ripped it open. It's a packet of fine liners.
Yeah. How does, these two things are not...
I appreciate my confusion when I opened it and thought...
Have I? Did I? Yeah.
And I was like, right, just wait. Right, this was indoors. I said, oh, was this posted through the letterbox? She said, yes. I was like, cool. On my tracking, it said it was put behind the wheelie bins. I went out, looked behind the bins. Wasn't there. I'm like, what is going on? So where is it then? I got confused. So I was like, right, let me have a look at the order number or the tracking number on my phone. So, right, The Last of Us. I don't remember ordering fine liners. I had in the past.
Right.
And I hadn't got it on like a subscribe and save. And They're different to the ones I ordered in the past. So I looked at the tracking number and I matched it up with the one that was on the package that these fine liners come in. I was like, yeah, that's the same tracking number. What the fuck has happened? I was so confused. Like, not to mention disappointed.
I can imagine.
I'd say more perplexed than anything.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I've never ordered something on Amazon and had something else turn up. Yeah. The only time that's ever happened is if I've gone through a second party or third party or whatever it is.
Yeah, and I checked that as well, and it was sold by Amazon. Yeah. Like, it was an Amazon one. Like, it's
unbelievable.
Like, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Because surely, like, we've worked in warehouses. I've worked in warehouses where you need to use scanners and things like that, and you would think, like, with Amazon, I mean, you see videos of them when they do their sort of recruitment drives and stuff. Like, the people have scanners and they pick where they get an order on their tablet, and then they scan the item that they've picked, or they scan the location number at least.
Yeah.
And you would think, like, the person picking it, surely it comes up with a description as well. Like, these two things aren't even similar.
No.
It's worse than, like, a supermarket when they do, your item was out of stock, so we've replaced it with a similar item. You know, it's worse than that. Like, what?
It's bizarre. I don't understand how it can have happened. The only thing that I can imagine is that at the very beginning it was scanned in with the wrong number and made it somehow robotically probably made
in the
it
wrong
into
location or something.
The wrong location,
yeah.
Or the right location for the product number, but the product number was wrong.
Yeah. So this is where The Last of Us 2 should have been.
Yeah.
But for some reason, a pack of fine liners was put there instead.
It's been stickered up with
because I looked. I can't remember where I saw it. I think it's part like doing my business. Just doing the module I'm doing at the minute and they did a thing about Amazon and how it works.
Right.
And the way their warehouses work is when products come in. Like, have you ever worked in Argos or anywhere like that? I know you.
Yes. Yes. I did a Christmas shift there once.
Yeah, a shift. I like it.
Well, no. I mean, for 2 or 3
temporary
months,
job. Yeah. So you know how, like, and I suppose when we worked in, like, the retail before together, the department store, is items are usually grouped together. Like, these are clothes, this is gardening stuff, this is electronics. And the way Amazon works is if there's an empty space, it's put there. Like, it just goes anywhere it fits, they will put it, and then it's given a location. So you could have 5 copies of The Last of Us put all over the place, but the system knows where each of those copies is and when each one's been picked.
Yeah.
So it sorry, I've just noticed that's probably coming out in the recording as well. We're getting messages on Facebook.
I didn't hear anything in my headphones.
You didn't? Okay, because last night it was.
Yeah, happening. I didn't understand how that was happening really, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Amazon, the way their system works is that they're randomly allocated locations, and when you get the person who works there, when they get that order come through, they're told which location to go and pick it from. So it is possible that it's, like you say, it may have been put in the wrong location. Like, this item may have been put in the location for The Last of Us 2. But there is still that element of human error.
Yeah.
Because there are still humans involved in these processes. It's not completely automated as far as I know.
Not all of them.
The only thing I can think is someone went, okay, so this person wants The Last of Us, so I'm going to scan that, put that in my pocket. What's next to it? Oh, pack of fine liners. I'll just put that in the package.
Maybe. Yeah.
And my worry now is I'm going to return it to Amazon, and, like, my returns label says The Last of Us 2, and they're going to open it up and go, well, this isn't The Last of Us 2.
Well, I've found with Amazon in the past that like they're quite good at just kind of taking things on face value.
Yeah.
And they're all right, generally speaking. I mean, the fact is, you've got the image that where you've opened up the package and pulled out a pack of pens.
Yeah.
I know that could be staged, but why? I don't know. That I've returned things in the past, and they've allowed me to send it back, and they've given me the refund without even having me to send it back. You know,
I've had that before, but generally, when you send stuff back, you're sending back the item that you were supposed to have received.
True. But they've told me not to bother sending back an item before as well. That's I'm sure they will with this.
Yeah, no, I have to send this back. But I did click that it wasn't the item I ordered. Not even close. And somebody who got involved in this conversation on Twitter ad with Amazon Help has just joined us.
Is this not the Amazon helpline?
No, this is not. No,
because I have a complaint. I had ordered a pack of 9 felt liners, and I got a notification saying that was not coming at all.
All right.
Some gentleman named Anthony.
I may be able to help you out with that one, Andrew.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I did message Amazon. No, I put up a post about Amazon saying like, this is definitely not a copy of The Last of Us 2. And then I tagged, and I replied to it and said I should probably tag Amazon Help into this one. And they're like, oh, we're terribly sorry to see that, Anthony. Despite the fact that my screen name is Anthony.
Yeah, you don't have.
But they're doing really well so far on that one. Have you had the chance to review, refund, replacement? And I said, like, I can't get a refund. Oh, apologies for the inconvenience caused. That was their response.
That was the whole response.
Even though I said, how does this even happen? The items aren't even closed. And they just went, well, apologies for the inconvenience caused.
Ooh.
I just left it. But
see, as a customer service manager, that's the kind of response we give to someone when they're being an asshole. Not like immediately like,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah. And you weren't particularly happy with that response, were you, Andrew?
I wasn't. I was like, that's not how you do customer service. Like, like I said, I've had instances where I've had to like go above and beyond and locate an item for a customer, and it wasn't even like I'm like, it's not even our fault, but how do we rectify the situation? How do we make this better? Oh, we scour the 5 corners of the internet, or we scour whatever to see what we can do, or you offer some kind of compensation, something.
But just like, sorry, whoops. Wait, what?
It's bizarre.
You mean you can't draw yourself a version of the game that you're looking for?
Well, you can now draw
responses to it. It might be better, apparently.
Well, I was thinking, if whoever ended up getting that Steelbook copy, I'm like, hopefully they've played the first game. Because I'm like, if I legitimately ordered a pack of 9 pens and I get this video game, it's just like, well, I haven't played the first game, so what am I supposed to do with this? Also, I'm thinking to myself, I've never played the game yet. I know, take me out to the middle of the town square and whatever. But I'm jokingly thinking to myself, if I ended up getting the second of a game called The Last of Us, it's like, what is it? The Last of Us 2? Parentheses. Oh, wait, there were some more of us. Like,
yeah. That is a bit of a strange one, isn't it? The Last of Us 2. Oh, apparently they weren't The Last of Us in the first one.
But it's like the never-ending story, isn't it? I mean,
5.
How many of those were there? 5. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it doesn't end, does it? So
it doesn't end.
Going.
Yeah, but then you only have it on one film. Surely you just extend that first film. You just sell the never-ending story, but with the extra bit added on the end.
The never-ending story.
You have to then
disc
maybe
5,
have it 2
as
discs.
as opposed to part 5. But I know if I'd have spent what was the fine line is probably like £3-4, and then like a special edition copy of like one of the one of the most anticipated games at the minute, like a special edition that's exclusive to Amazon, came through the door for like £4. I know what I'd do with it. I'd keep my mouth shut and put it on eBay if I hadn't played the first one.
Even if you've got no interest in it, that people want to buy it. I'm
an Xbox man, so
yeah.
Nintendo Switch type of guy. I'll just stick it on eBay.
Yeah. I
Maybe
suppose the other
I
thing
still
to
got
do
myself an Atari.
I used to have
I'm a
one of
classic
those, one of
game
the
fan.
old wooden.
Yeah, I had the Woody. Yeah,
Wood Ataris.
yeah.
I suppose the thing we should do is actually introduce Andrew for the people who don't know who he is. Like,
It's been a while since he's actually been on the podcast.
yeah.
Well,
You know,
I'm just assuming that everyone who listens knows who he is.
But Andrew Bartlett, previously of podcasts, including Room 174. 3.
Yeah.
Damn it.
One
It's
away.
been a while. It's been too long.
Yeah.
It's an elusive number to everyone but
a-
me for some reason.
There was a podcast before that as well.
There was a
Two Loose Screws.
Yeah.
2 Loose Screws, yep.
And obviously contributor to Mating Habits of the Modern Geek.
Yes.
Which is ongoing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, she's decided to do the COVID episodes. Kind of dust off, and we're still in that stage now. We've reopened over here, although I think we're going to close up in the next month or two with surge. Yeah. I mean, well, I work in customer service, so I've been back at work for about 2 months now.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm glad to be out of the house and doing things, but also, why is everyone else out of the house and doing things and not wearing a mask? And
yeah. I mean, over here they've recently, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they reduced the threat level from 4 to 3. So that means that like the high street down here yesterday, Joe went out for a run. I'm injured, so I can't. But she said that the high street down here was just mental. People queuing for. Anne, have you been to Rochester recently?
Not recently.
There's a shop there that sells cheese.
That sounds very Rochester.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's Dickensian town with a cheese shop.
It's called the cheese shop. It's called the cheese.
It's called the cheese shop.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it be?
I'd have called it something like, here's a Gouda time, looking for a Gouda time or something. Let it breathe or something. I don't know.
No, it's not quite that clever. But no, apparently there was a massive queue for that place. Like, who the fuck is that desperate for cheese that you can't get it at a supermarket?
Yeah.
It's
Elmo.
This is special cheese. Cheese, okay?
It's like it's gourmet cheese.
Yeah. It's just so. I don't understand.
So how
where
long,
I work,
if you've been back at work for 2 months, how long had you been off? Because I mean, I don't feel like I've been off for about 3 months, haven't I? So,
well, I say 2 months.
Time
it's been about
has
a month
lost
and a half.
meaning.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it's lost meaning. I was actually out for about a month and a half. I'm a member of management, so I got
got the responsibilities.
Preferential choice or whatever to go back.
Involved in planning how you're going to reopen and organize the store and stuff. Yeah.
To the credit of where I work, we've done a really good job in like taking care of our associates. Again, it's the bonehead customers who come in and they're like, it's my American right to not wear a mask, and it's like, but you look like an idiot. Like everyone else is wearing a mask and you're not, so you look like an idiot. Look at my cool mask. I've got a Doctor Who mask, or it's keeping safe, make it fashion.
And then you got to go, can I introduce you to this book by Darwin?
Exactly. Or can I introduce you to this series of books called the Darwin Awards? So, I have a couple in my library. They're great. Some of your heroes. Yeah. You can join them in the pantheons of, stupid ass stories and people.
Stupid ass Valhalla.
Exactly.
There's a lot of that kind of, there's been a whole lot of that over there. I mean, it's the same over here, but we don't have like a set of amendments that means we have to feel entitled for it.
People can shout at us as though it's an excuse.
There's certainly a number of idiots over here who've been, wondering why the hell the pubs aren't still open and that kind of thing. And it's always the dickheads.
Did you see there was a post on Facebook yesterday? It's like, drunk lives matter. Reopen the pubs.
I hope that
Excuse me? Well, I think it's one of these classic things with Facebook where it was sort of put up tongue-in-cheek
as a joke, but the stupid people that don't realise that it's a joke share it as real. Yeah.
And this is what I sort of had to call someone out on Facebook about when they were putting stuff up like that. I was like, I know No, because there are people that will see this and take it seriously, and they feel safe sharing this shit. Stop it.
Yep.
However, the pubs will be.
Perfect.
They will be opening back up. One of the pubs in town has got a big outdoor section, and they were handing beers through a window
Really?
for people to sit outside.
Like that's the picture now. You've got somebody in. I mean, that's a political ad or a cartoon right there. You've got some bobo in like a Hawaiian shirt and a MAGA hat and shorts and sandals with socks, and then they're getting a beer from someone in a complete hazmat suit, like you know, from a quarantined area. Okay, here's your Yingling,
and that's it. Yeah. It's just it's the unbelievable kind of.
Here's what you want to do during a pandemic: is make people drunk. The one time when you really want to go around hugging everyone and loving everyone.
Yeah.
Or starting fights.
Fights, yeah. Spitting at people.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It just
well, it's funny because I was at work yesterday and, you know, what we have this whole system down where in between customers, we wipe down the counters, we wipe down the pin pad and everything. And we wear gloves, we wear masks, and I happen to be at a register that's close to customer service, and one of my customer service associates was wiping down the counter, and the next person up, of course, wasn't wearing a mask. And, you know, she was like, "Excuse me, give me just a second, sir, and I'll be right with you." And the guy was like, "Well, damn, what are you going to do when it's flu season?" Of course, in my head, I'm like, "Get the fucking vaccine." Like,
yeah. This is people just can't get their heads around the fact that this is different than the flu. Mm-hmm. This thing is really deadly, and there is no cure for it yet.
Is that like, we have evolved, like our bodies have evolved to deal with the flu over many, many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
This came from like last year. This is new. Yeah. We don't know how to deal with this at the minute.
And it seems like there's always something new added on to it. It either affects this in people, it affects this in people.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And this is the crazy thing about it, is that like no one knows all of the symptoms because different people are showing different symptoms. And therefore, like, because over here it was like, oh no, it won't affect your sense of taste and smell. Then a month later, it's like, well, actually, some people do have their sense of taste and smell affected by it. So yeah, we're going to add that to the ever-growing list.
Yeah, there's actually a woman at work who did get COVID, and like a month later, I've not spoken to her for a couple of weeks, but a month after, she still didn't have a taste of like her taste or her smell at all. Like she had nothing. Like, which is that's such a bizarre thought that would happen. I can't imagine what that would be like. The smell thing might be quite nice.
Sometimes.
Especially if you're holed up in the house for 2 months and it's just you lose all sense of time. It's just like, when was the last time I had a shower?
Yeah. I mean, like
I have no sense of smell, so I can't tell.
It's nuts though. Like we were, Joe and I were talking the other day about the fact that we went to Dublin at the tail end of February.
Yeah.
Like literally a week later, because we weren't 100% sure, because things were starting to kind of get talked about lockdowns and stuff. And we were like, well, do we go? What happens if we get, you know, I mean, it's not that far away, but what happens if Ireland locks down its borders because it's Europe and we're not?
Yeah.
But that doesn't even feel like that was this year. Like this year has been so weird that like my sense of time is all so out of whack. That feels like it was 2019. Like it almost feels
I love the memes where it's just like, oh, you remember when this happened? Oh yeah, that was so long ago. Oh, that was March.
Yeah.
So what now?
It's insane.
Have you got a system out there, Andrew, where like people have to queue to get into the shops and things? Like you can only allow a certain number in at a time.
Certain places, right now, I mean, it's like a city by city sort of ordinance that they have in
you've
play.
Got that thing as well, haven't you? Where you've got different rules depending which state or city you're in.
But to be fair, different councils over here have different ways of dealing with it as well.
Oh, have they? Oh,
yeah.
The government are like, it's not our fault. You make the rules.
Yeah, basically.
Well, where I work, I mean, we have basically the way that what it's set for where I am is, again, it's a state by state thing. The company's like, okay, you know, we can't determine what number of people. So it's based off of a state and then city, depending on what the ordinances are. And so where I am, it's based off of 50% of the maximum capacity. And so even then the number is ridiculous. And of course, everybody who's coming back to the store associate wise, they're looking at that number and their eyes like bug out of their head, because they're like, that's the number of people, that's more than the number of people that we have on Black Friday. So it's like, and here we are, just 10 lowly associates. And they're like, oh, well, why don't we have them stand outside? Oh, well, because it's hot. And I feel like the antithesis of Scrooge. And it's just like, well, let them burn and decrease the surplus population. Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, and again, I have to bring up, like, everywhere I've worked as far as customer service is concerned, I look at it as one of two things. Are we a need to have store or a want to have store? And it's always the latter. We're a want to have store. So it's like, I'm sorry, Deborah, that our fitting rooms are closed and you can't try on those skinny jeans, which obviously in your state, and you're obviously having been, quarantined for 2 months and you had way too much pasta. Like, I get it. You don't know what size you are these days. So, but unfortunately, because of the number of people that we have, and because we're trying to isolate as much of a touching area as possible, all of our fitting rooms are closed and we don't know when. So please don't get mad at us. And we have a really great return policy. So, feel free to buy 2 or 3 sizes, try those, and then bring back what doesn't work for you.
Yeah. That's bizarre. Yeah. Because as you were explaining, you were like, 50% the capacity. And I was like, so you are limiting people. And then I thought, well, no, because it's 50% of the maximum capacity. Which I assume would be never have that many people anyway.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much business as usual with people coming into the store.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like every store over here has queuing up outside, basically, doesn't it? Like everything.
Which is why I will not go into town, because the actual high street is going to be more crowded. It's going to be more crowded than it would be on a normal day, because people are queuing to get into the shops. Yeah.
But you're outside, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, there's like a non-smoking area right next to a smoking area. You're outside, it doesn't count. It's bonkers.
It's crazy, man.
But you've also got people are queuing, but it's like 2 meter space between them, so the queues are like stretching so far.
Mm-hmm. I mean, have you been to a supermarket during this time?
Yeah. So I did at the start when everyone was sort of trying to go at the same time, so the queues were humongous.
Yeah,
but then
you were queuing up for like an hour and a half to get in.
Yeah.
And you're like, after the first time I did that, I was like, this isn't worth it. I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try and do online shopping like whenever.
Well, the only reason that we went is because the online shopping started to get impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so.
But then we found there was this app, right? Someone had set up an app, and it was all about the waiting times outside various shops.
Oh wow!
So you could look up various supermarkets and stuff and see what the queue time was.
Quick.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. It was like, fuck, it's 5 minutes down at Grove Green. Let's go there. Let's drive for 40 minutes to go to 5 minutes. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So we went yesterday. We went to Morrison, the supermarket, and they're quite sensible. They've got 2 queues. They've got like people doing their big shop with a trolley or cart, as Andrew might say, and people who are just using a basket. So we just went into the basket queue, and when we were stood there, yeah, exactly. When we were stood there, somebody
Nothing
rocked
to see
up.
Here.
When we were stood in the queue, somebody rocked up and showed their NHS ID and walked straight in. I was like, I haven't got my ID with me. If I'd have taken my ID, we could have just walked straight in. So I will be using that in the future.
Flash that like a friggin' golden badge.
Yeah, exactly.
Though, to be fair, I was stood outside one early on, and someone from the NHS did come straight to the front of the queue, as is their right to use the store. And the person in the doorway stopped them going in, and the entire queue were like, "No, they're going in. Let them the fuck in."
Yeah, which is really weird. And it's strange. People still don't seem to worry about that. I thought people were going to start resenting that, but they're actually still okay with it, which is great, as it should be. But I have found when you stood in a queue outside a supermarket, if you get a little bit too close to someone, they'll shoot you. They're like, "Look, what are you doing? Fucking move back. Once you get inside, it's a free for all. Like
nuts.
you get inside, that same person that almost took your head off with the glare they gave you reaches over your shoulder to grab the fucking kale or something.
I had it's
because you're in motion. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. People just get into this like, well, I'm not queuing when I'm inside. Why would I queue when I'm inside?
Yeah.
I had a full-on panic attack in one of the Tesco's relatively early on. It was when everyone was going and just no one was abiding by the rules. No one was taking any notice of the store workers who were trying to enforce the rules. And I just had this proper full-on like, I need to get the fuck out of here because this I don't want to catch anything. These people are fucking idiots.
And you want to tell me, I can only hold my breath for so long.
Yeah. I've been holding my breath for 15 minutes. I've gone purple. It's ridiculous. Get the fuck out of my air. But yeah, it's just...
We had this, when I went to Morrison's yesterday, we got to this aisle and people were it was quite good. Like people had sort of sorted out their own one-way system. And then this woman came into the top of the aisle with her trolley. And I was like, she's coming down. I'll move over to the side for her. And then somebody walked up next to me on the other side. I was like, okay, so we're both either side. We're safe. There's a little gap between us. And this woman put between the middle of us and went, thank you. And I just shook my head. I'm like, what are you doing?
Wasn't letting you past.
Yeah. I was just like maintaining distance and you just squeeze through the middle. So.
Yeah.
And then she
again, it comes down to that thing we were talking about a little bit earlier on. It's like people's entitlement. People feel like they're entitled to do what they want in these places. People feel like they're entitled to buy things they want rather than things they need. You know, and it surprises me, like where you are, Andrew, that yours is not a grocery store. Yours is like a department store, right?
It is, yeah. Primarily clothing.
Yeah, and to be fair, people don't need clothes.
I mean, really. Not if you're staying inside for 2 months. It's just you don't need to be dressing up. It's just
people don't necessarily need new clothes. Like it's not. No. Unless you have got a young child, and they grow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Like small children do grow very quickly. I understand that, but even
then, like while we were closed for 2 months, we had online shopping. Like, we still had that available.
You can get, you can buy clothes via Amazon, abhpod.com, and all that kind of stuff. Go through. But yeah, you can get stuff through Amazon and you can return them, or ASOS, or like whatever else. You know.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with Amazon. You don't know what you're gonna get.
That's a good point.
I ordered a t-shirt. I have a new water bottle. It's great. Although saying that, we're like pretty much on first name basis with our Amazon driver now. Like the amount of shopping we've done on there during this lockdown.
I'm the opposite. I've done virtually nothing. I bought a couple of Blu-rays the other day because I was like, shit, they're still actually releasing them, aren't they? So I bought Knives Out and Parasite.
Yeah.
Because I was like, movies. Yeah, great. Watched Knives Out the other day with Joe, and I was like, you will enjoy this. It's basically Agatha Christie. It might be modern, but it's like it's like Poirot. It's brilliant.
Oh, brilliant!
And it's great. With Daniel Craig's Southern Fried CSI KFC.
Yes.
I've not seen either of those, so that's lost on me.
No. It's like, you know how Poirot is this ridiculously over-the-top Belgian accent.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig has a ridiculously southern drawl.
Okay, yeah, no, I have actually heard.
He's like Foghorn Leghorn, basically.
Yeah. Oh, God.
This case has got a hole in the center. It's a donut. It's brilliant. So good.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom the other day, and she's like, yeah, we finally watched Knives Out. And my stepdad, who doesn't like anything, apparently loved the movie. They were just like, okay, that's a good brand on it. That means it's a fantastic film. Yeah.
Because how have you been kind of getting on with this whole thing? How did you kind of cope with lockdown? How did you cope with being indoors? Because you live on your own, right? You've got Gallifrey, of course. But...
midnight now.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, you're fine. He's just sitting right here. He's just like, what? You got my name wrong? No. I'm holding him back. It's cool. He didn't know. But I I fared pretty well. I kept making the joke that 37 years of training to be an introvert, like my time is now. Let's do this. Let's I pretty much hunkered down and binge watched primarily Hulu. I decided after not having watched it during its heyday, I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch all 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Because I'd only watched a couple episodes. I'm like, okay. Ended up loving it, and then continuing my Whedonverse, kind of education, went on to Angel, and then rewatched Firefly. I'm now on Dollhouse, so really enjoying it. And then I like Ant had an April birthday, and so I had a quarantine birthday, and went out my one time during the week and bought myself cake mix and made myself a cake and ate it in 3 days. It was really good, but now I know how to make a cake. But I mean, I'm one of those people who, I took everything seriously, and I stayed inside, and I was fine with it. I had plenty of books to read. I was like, if I get bored with TV, I've got books. If I get bored with that, I've got, Destiny 2, which, will suck out hours and hours. Like I've been doing 1 million strikes, and it's now 3 days later. So at a certain point, it did, like, the time did start to blend, and you're like, okay, what day is it? So it was good fortune that my boss messaged me and was like, hey, we're going to slowly bring people back. I'm like, oh, thank you. Because if nothing else, it's like, I'm one of those people. I either shake hands, I high five, I hug people. So there was that little bit. A friend of mine, she just moved into a new house right before we had to go into lockdown. So it's like, I can't go visit her because at the time she, we thought she was immunocompromised. So it's like, I'm not going to kill you that way. Like, it's just like,
congratulations on your house, now die.
Yeah. You put me on the will, right? Like, it's just, so, there are all those factors. Ironically enough, I was going to take like a week off for my birthday, and it was going to happen right around the time that we went into lockdown. And part of that, I was going to go up and visit my mom and my stepdad. And I was just like, no, they're getting on in the years. And my, both of them have medical issues, my stepdad especially. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to, I'm going to take this seriously. Yeah. And, again, it's like, this is important. I would rather, wait than to jump the gun and something bad happen. So, but I mean, for the most part, like, I'm one of those people who, it's a horrible situation. So you have to find the silver lining in it. And my silver lining was, I've funnily enough, I've been training for this. So I can sit inside for 2 months and be fine. So I considered myself, quote unquote, lucky. I didn't have any contact with anybody. So I couldn't get sick. I didn't have any contact with anybody. So I couldn't get anybody sick. And again, I had entertainment, and it's like what you guys have been saying over the past couple months. It's not like they're saying stay inside at all times. Like, you can still go outside. I live on the 4th floor. I could just go out on the balcony if I want to get a little bit of sunshine, and I'll just be sitting out there and be like, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to come up here and say, go back inside? Like, good luck. So, but, I mean, all things considered, I fared pretty well. Kind of mentally prepping for round 2, because that's bound to happen in the next month or so.
I'm in the same boat as you. I was sort of like, I sent a message to someone I work with, like when they made the announcement Boris Johnson's putting us into lockdown. I just sent, like, introverts, like, rejoice. Like,
it's our time has come.
This is our time. But the fact is, we work in healthcare, so, like, we didn't get to stay home. We still had to go to work. But it's like, yes, now Liz can't force me to go out somewhere and go and socialise with people. I get to stay indoors, and I've got an excuse now.
We got that party to go to. Nope, COVID.
Nope, no, can't do it. But yeah, that was. But I feel that, yes, I would have been okay for sort of 5 or 6 weeks. Like, if I was furloughed, I would have been okay for 5 or 6 weeks, having to stay indoors. But after that, I probably, even though I'm an introvert, but you still need human contact. And yes, I do have Liz and Chloe, but it's the social aspect of like going out and meeting up with friends as well. Like there's no way I could have lasted.
That's been the thing that's affected me the most, is like I really miss playing in bands. I miss going to gigs. I miss seeing people in the flesh and being I again, like you, Andrew, I'm a hugger. I you know, I like physical contact with people in a non-Me Too way. And
consent.
Yeah.
Consensual physical contact.
Yeah. And yeah, that's been the biggest thing, like going to see my mum on her birthday, which was the beginning of May, and having to stay in her garden away from her, not being able to give her a hug or anything. And yeah, that was a real, I didn't like that.
No.
But I think without stuff like Zoom, I think I'd have gone insane.
Yeah.
I definitely exercised FaceTime. FaceTime is like, if you look at the chart of usage of apps, like FaceTime just got a huge spike. I was calling everybody, be like, "You doing all right? I know we haven't talked in 12 years, but you doing all right?"
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? The early days, I was hearing from people who I'd not heard from for ages. Like they're on my friends list or whatever, but all of a sudden people were talking again, which was bizarre. But that, again, like a couple of things that happened very early on. After about a month, people had kind of got into a new routine where they were like, well, I've done that. Now I'm going to kind of cut back and try and enter some kind of normal pattern.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like it was a novelty for the first month, maybe, I guess, where people were like, oh, right, I've got loads of free time. We were saying, weren't we, Ant, that like people were more inclined to come on this show
in
the first few weeks. And then we were like, oh, who else wants to come on? And it was like, actually, I'm doing something else that day. Or it's like, but we're like, well, what are you doing? It's
I think that's, I suppose the best way to say it is at the beginning, nobody knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
like, they had nothing to do, so it was kind of like, oh, do you want us to? Yeah. So like the first week we had 3-4 people just hop in, sort of like quite happily hop into it. But then people, like you say, started to build this. Oh, actually, I can do this now. Oh, I'm going to do this. So they sort of found a routine. So we're like, oh, do you want to come on Sunday? And they're like, well, no, me and my girlfriend are actually going to go and do this now. And especially now that we got that permission to go out indefinitely, we can spend all day outside if we want, as long as we maintain social distancing rules. Yeah. Like, people were like making use of that. Whereas before we were only allowed, was it an hour at a time or 2 hours? An hour twice a day or something.
An hour twice a day, once for exercise and once for shopping, essentially for essentials or whatever. Yeah.
And then they took those clocks back that had the time we've been outside, and I don't know how they kept tabs on that. Like, you've been out for an hour and 5 minutes. Get back.
My thing was like, if I go out for longer than an hour on Strava, maybe they'll know that way. Maybe they'll start doing GPS or something like that. But
you start getting electric shocks on your wrist. Like,
I'm going home. Okay.
But even with Strava, but even with that, an hour, you're only allowed out for an hour for exercise. Even with that, I was looking on Strava, and especially like our friends who like cycle for exercise, they were going out for like 4 hours. Like, and I'm like, okay, nobody's really paying attention, but they're moving fast, so it doesn't count.
Exactly.
You got time dilation.
You got to go for the you got to
do a bit Jeremy
conversion. Yes, Jeremy Bearimy. Get stuck in the dot.
Oh god, but it's just bizarre. Like, people don't stick to rules. They don't.
Well, I think, like with over here, the problem is that the rules have been so very blurred. It's not anything. It's like, you call it social distancing, and they're like, oh, well, what is 6 feet? And it's like, you say social distancing, and it sounds more like a trend on Twitter than
it's a hashtag.
I mean, social distancing. It
I'm
sounds like
limiting my time on Twitter as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, But again, it's just such the flippant way. I was having a discussion with my mother about it the other day, and it's amazing in a very horrifying way, where it's like, okay, now we're reopening because we feel like, the projected 200,000 deaths. Hey, that's not 1 million, so it's okay. It's just like, but it's reached that point. It's like, how is this okay? And because a lot of it is because certain oranges in office will not take will not just say, oh, just don't do anything. They won't make a damn decision. It leaves it up to individual, governances. And like, I live in the northern South, and we had people, it's that whole dichotomy between the reopen protests and the BLM protests. And it's like, you look at the reopen protests, and you got people going down there with their AR-15s, and they're charging the steps, and they're not wearing masks. They're all like about to make out with each other. That's how close they are. And then you look at like the BLM protests, and people are wearing masks. They're keeping 6 feet apart. It's just like, this is how you do it. But you get again back to the entitlement thing. It's just like, well, I want, my wife Karen needs to get her hair did. It's just, look at her roots. Like, trust me on this, man. Like, I gotta live with her. Like, if I gotta see this, I don't want to deal with that's so. It's crazy. And again, the problem is that the regulations have been so flimsy, where it's like it's up to interpretation. Well, what does social distancing mean to you? Me, I don't like people, so I'm going to stay inside. That's my social distancing. Whereas, other people are just like, well, we're standing 2 feet apart, but I normally shake hands. I didn't shake your hand. I bopped your elbow. Like, it's like,
that was one of the things that I started noticing right before lockdown was starting. I went to a couple of things with work, and people were doing the whole elbow thing, and I was like, is this gonna save anyone? Like,
we're doing that at work as well, just elbows.
But I think the way that our government dealt with it right at the beginning was like, these are very clear sets of rules. You are not to go outside for more than an hour a day. You must stay 2 meters apart from people, all that kind of stuff. But then as it's gone on, and people like our yellow-haired idiot have had their financial interests starting to get eaten away by the fact that us plebs aren't out there spending money, it's become more and more kind of wishy-washy and, again, blurred like yours, where they're leaving it much more up to the individual person to work out whether they want to stay indoors, whether they want to go out, whether they want to try and get back to some sort of normality, whether they want to do whatever the hell they want to do. And it's only because, when the second wave hits, they'll be able to turn around and be like, well, we did tell you.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's got to the point now where we've actually got, I don't know if you've seen it, we've actually got birthday cards that mock the rules.
Oh, really? No, I didn't see
like,
that.
Happy birthday. Go out and celebrate, but don't go out. And don't celebrate.
Oh, right.
But, go and see your family, but don't see your family. And it's like...
But that's kind of been, that's more to do with the way that things have become, isn't it? It's like, it's like that whole, like the 3 tenets of stay at home, protect the NHS, save lives, suddenly turn to stay vigilant or whatever. Stay alert, control the virus, be a cunt. I don't know, like
it's just
I think I saw that one on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's just so it is just odd. It's just weird. It's not clear, and like you say, it is.
It's that what I love is stay alert and control the virus. It's invisible.
Yeah.
And there isn't a cure.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
the other thing as well is, like you said at the start, where it was very clear, and when they said this is how we're going to ease it, here are is it 4 or 5 stages of easing the lockdown, the last of which, and that was done like with the NHS, like they sort of co-founded this plan with the NHS, and the last stage of it was sports will return. And
that's stage 1, wasn't it?
But that's the final stage.
Yeah.
Stage, because we don't. Yeah, it's reversed, isn't it?
5 was like it's gonna kill everyone.
The alert level, isn't it? So alert level 1. So was once it's pretty much been eradicated and we have a vaccine or a cure, then sports will return and non-essential shops will open. Well, non-essential shops are opened and sports have returned. But
and we were still in 4.
And we were still in
stage.
4. It's like, wait. So now they're easing the lockdown without the NHS. They've said that you have to wear masks on public transport and when you go into a hospital, which wasn't the NHS weren't consulted for that either. And it just seemed they're like, well, we'll do it our way now because money.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well. They were like, we're guided by the science on this. And then the scientists were like, well, actually, like, we don't think that you should be opening these things up. And they're like, we're still being guided by the science, but we think that blah, blah, blah.
But we think the science.
And then when the scientists kind of say something slightly different, they don't show up again at the government announcements the next day. And now there aren't anyone else at those announcements. The government briefings these days, it's just one member of parliament, and there are no scientists or professionals either side of him. They aren't. It's blatant as well. And it was that whole thing of like when the numbers were coming back down, they're like, yes, the numbers are stabilizing, and actually they're getting lower and lower. And they're showing a graph here on the screen where like you can see that it's doing this. It's like, that's not lower. That's plateauing. Like, there are still 200 odd people a day dying of this thing.
But what they also do
rhymes with low.
But again, like you were saying, Andrew, like I know obviously your target is way higher because of, you know, the fact yours is a massive country compared to ours. Our initial thing when it first when the lockdown first got implemented here was that they said that 25,000 people dying would be a bad figure. We're now at over 50,000 and no one's being held to account over that. You know, it's, and they're still going ahead with this.
But they keep skewing it as well, because on the weekends they go, look, it's the lowest number of deaths we've recorded.
Because they know that the reporting doesn't come in until Monday.
Because they don't report the same thing at the weekend. So like last weekend, it was like, we only had 8 deaths. We're doing great. And it's like, but it's a weekend.
But
you're not reporting all of the deaths on a weekend. Yeah, but that's not even how many people died on the weekend. That's just how many they reported. Then the weekend numbers, I think, come out. They come out on Tuesday or Wednesday.
When you get to Monday, it spikes back up to 200, and then by Wednesday, it's still 200 or 300.
Because they put the weekend numbers, they spread it across the first 3 days of the week or something. And it's just, and then on Thursday and Friday it drops because they don't have the weekend numbers now. So it drops Thursday, Friday, and then on Saturday, Sunday, it's plummets.
So what you've got, essentially, it's what I'm saying is you've got to look at the average, and the average is doing that. It's just on a kind of steady.
It's the same.
Maybe it's coming down by like 10 or 20 a week.
And the thing is, they're going, look
but
at the
not
deaths,
enough
they're
to
reducing.
No change.
Exactly,
And the thing is, they're like, look at the deaths, they're reducing. And we're like, yes, but our alert level is based on the number of like infections recorded. So why are you not reporting on the number of infected people like as much as you are on the deaths?
No,
they're like, the deaths have come down. They're like, yeah, but the infections are the same. The infection rate's the same. It's just...
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I don't know. I mean, I got an email from Cineworld the other day saying that they're going to be opening on the 10th of July. So I can go back to the cinema to see Tenet.
But
you
can't go and see your mum.
Do I? Yeah, exactly. Will I want to go? I don't know. I don't think so.
See, this is the thing I was going to say earlier when we were saying about all the people going, oh, the shops are open, I need to go to the shops. And I was thinking, yeah, but I got excited the other day because, like, the route setters are back in my gym setting routes. And I got really excited, like, oh, I can go back climbing again. But then if it comes down to it, I'm like, I don't know if I can. But if they do it the way Australia have done it, it should be quite good. I think they basically have time slots throughout the day where you book to go in and they limit it to, I don't know, like 5 or 10 people can go in. And they have marks down where you can go, and then when you've left, they go and clean it, and then the next group come in. So, you know, depending on their plan, I may go and just have an hour climbing a week or something. But
I'm happy just running outside.
I mean, I've sort of started using the gym at work and sort of just working out.
If your work's got a gym, then fair play. Yeah,
it's not climbing.
No, I know. But and the other thing that I got was a thing from work about how I feel about working from home.
To
which I've said yes all
Please.
the time. I don't want to go in unless it's because the cleaners that clean the building are woeful anyway. Like they move dust around on the desk. Like you come in on a Monday morning and they've cleaned it on the Friday evening or something. And
don't lift that upside down coffee cup. Don't.
Nah.
It's fine. It's fine.
What they'll have done is they'll have moved your monitor and they'll have moved all your stationery around, but all the dust is still in the same place. Like I don't even know. They just seem to come along and go, "Oh, that can go there, and these can go there." And
so we're balancing out the dust coverage. We're exposing not exposed areas.
It's almost like they tidy up rather than dust, rather than clean.
But they don't tidy up. They make a mess. Like they do the opposite of cleaning.
So go in and just a finger on the monitor. Right, that's done. Just push it over.
So I've kind of been like, I don't trust the cleaning staff basically to do their job. And I don't want to go back into the office unless I absolutely have to.
I know. Like
the whole company is carried on working while everyone's been at home anyway. So why aren't we all working from home?
Mm-hmm.
If you like, the advice is still if you can work from home, work from home. So
I can work from home. So
So I want to
willingly.
Yeah.
And like Liz hasn't stopped working throughout either. She can work from home. She does a couple of days in the office. Like when I'm at home, she goes into the office. And now they don't even have the cleaners in. It's like the people that work there have to clean at the end of the day, which I suppose is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
But she says like they've got all this one-way system in place, but like the size of their office, although they've got the one-way system in place, someone using the photocopier will be stood right behind Liz. Like, it doesn't make sense. And like her boss will come out of his office and go into their kitchen area. And like if somebody goes to walk into the kitchen area when he's in there, so don't come into my kitchen area, I'm in here. Like he shouts and like fair enough. But then he will reach over Liz and go to point out, have you done this, this, and this, and point at things on the screen, and it's just. He's one of those people that would shout at you in a queue at a supermarket.
And then get inside and barge around all over the place.
Selective social distancing.
Yeah, one rule for me, one rule for you. Yeah. But it was like I was talking to Daniel's son as well a few weeks back, and he'd gone back to his. He works in a kind of like a sales office, and he was saying that they've gone back and there's a box of PPE in the corner, but there's no. You don't have to wear it. Like it was one of those things where he was saying like, oh, there's a box of PPE in the corner. You know where it is if you want, but everyone is back in his office. And you're just like, come on, man. Like the regular cold gets round in like air conditioning units and stuff. Like any office I've always worked in, like someone gets a cold in one corner of the room. And then you can almost see in stages it come up various banks of desks. Like people get ill in little stages like that. You know, yeah.
Throughout the office.
Yeah, it takes
very prolonged Jaws theme.
Yeah,
playing
like
in the
3
background.
or 4 weeks, the slowest shark ever. It's bizarre.
Word.
We are living in unprecedented times, and it makes me think like what we're going to talk about, like say 5-10 years down the line. When I assume this will be under some sort of control, like looking back at the year of 2020 and what we're going to remember of it. Like
it's also how will they frame it in history lessons at school in like years to come? Yeah. Like will they frame it as like a success story, or will it be like the plague?
Exactly.
Like when they teach the Great Plague, like
and it'll all come down to, I guess, numbers. Again, it all comes down to statistics, doesn't it? Because that's what we've been fed this entire time is numbers.
Definitely include it when you're teaching about propaganda. Like, you have to.
I mean, it's been a clear case of like we're not really living in a democracy.
Oh no.
Like, as much as we're lucky to live where we are. there is still a very clear class system in this country.
There's
a ruling class, and there's the workers, and there's the skivs down the bottom,
But it is a shame we don't live in New Zealand, isn't it? Where they did everything right.
Yep.
Jacinda Ardern is an absolute hero.
And the way she fucking just calls out everyone else in the world.
She's got every right to.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, right, locking down, no one goes out for like a month, and then we'll be all right to go back out again.
Yeah.
And admittedly.
And Boris Johnson went, herd immunity.
Yeah.
Not herd immunity.
Yeah.
Stay inside. Don't stay inside.
But now go out, but it's not herd immunity. You can just go and do what you like anyway. But don't forget what we said about herd immunity 3 months ago.
Go sit in a park with loads of strangers for as long as you want, but don't go and see your family.
State mandated genocide.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry, I'm deep in the middle of punk at the moment.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
But
it's all bizarre, and it does make me wonder how this is how people look back at 2020 and kind of have a look at how we all kind of dealt with it.
Well, the optimist in me likes to think that with technology being what it is and everything is being cited and the internet never forgets.
Yeah.
And with the generation that's coming up, and they're already, I hate to use the term woke, but just for the sake of whatever, they see what's happening. They see what's going on, and they're pissed. And so, everything happening, be it COVID or BLM and or whatever else happened, I think if things continue as far as documenting and chronicling what's happening, I mean, it's gonna look like the shit show that it is.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be told in a way where it's like, whereas what we're learning now, like, me in my 30s finding out about, certain things that they didn't teach you in school because of that, white privilege education, it's like, wow, I did not realize this. Wow, I did not realize this. Like, there's that post going around where it's like, Martin Luther King and Anne Frank, and for some reason I can't think of the third person, but it's like, these are all people who were born in 1929, and they'd all be the same age today. But because of the way that we're taught, like, you see the picture of Anne Frank and it's black and white. And then, you hear about Martin Luther King. It's like, apparently they would all be the same age today, but because of how we're taught, it's mind blowing. But I think, again, with the way that with the direction that we're going, I mean, living in North Carolina, I mean, we've got Confederate statues that are just being torn down. Like, people are just like, hey, we've asked the government, and the government's asked apparently these groups of people that apparently have more say than the government does. And they're like, hey, we need to take these down. And the groups are like, nah. So the people are going downtown, and like Friday night, we had this one Confederate statue that had, that's more like a monument with two guys on the side of it. You go to Twitter and you look up hashtag Raleigh protests, and you see videos of, all right, fine, we're going to take these down ourselves.
But so it's one of those things that, so people have tried to do it peacefully, and they tried to do it the right way for so long, and they just get ignored. And that's what I keep hearing. It's like, you get ignored long enough, you get angry, and people just take it into their own hands. That's why people are like, I don't understand the violence. It's like, well, they tried to protest peacefully. And they tried to do this the right way, and they tried to do this through petitions and stuff, and it didn't work. They were ignored. So because
systems are in place to stop that.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. And it was kind of what we were talking about in the last episode as well. And actually, I was going to ask you, Andrew, about the experience of living where you live and what's going on in your area, because clearly there are these things in your neighborhood, or not neighborhood,
I mean,
but what I mean.
Full transparency, I support it. I'm seeing it through, people I love, my friends, and I have family that, are experiencing that. And, I see everything, and I get mad. And so I'm one of those people where it's just like, well, here I am, a white man, like, how do I use my privilege to, get the message out and all that? So but I actually, live like 10 minutes from our downtown area. And when everything like really came to a head a couple weeks ago, when it was first starting off and the protests were just starting to grow, there was a protest downtown. And again, I happened to be looking on Twitter and I saw Raleigh protests and then a couple areas that are around me as hashtags. I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah. And that's when looters had, that's when they were reporting the looting and everything. And in fact, the shopping center that's right across the street from where I live got looted. But it was one of those things where it's like, you have to separate, people that are just taking advantage of the situation from the people who are, doing it as a means to get their message across about the systemic, the systemic problem that's going on. And so, I drive by, there's a Target over here, there's a Ross Dress for Less that got hit. And I mean, what's amazing is that like the CEO, I believe, of Target made the comment just like, our people will be taken care of. Like this is a bigger issue. And I drove by within a week. So doors were smashed open. So within a week, like they first took all the glass out. Then the next day they put up plywood just to have something to secure it. Yeah. And then by the end of the week, they already had new glass up. So it's like, okay, that shows right there, like, they can take care of it. It's taken care of. It's the whole message of it. I mean, from a, very limited privileged perspective, I've been checking in on my friends who are dealing with this and making sure that they're okay. And, what can I do to help? And they're like, you're doing it now. Like, that's because I want to be a part of the solution. But I also don't want to, be that white voice drowning out. Yeah. So it's like, but to an extent, it's one of those things where it's like when to kind of not liken it to, but like my mom, she's very much a Facebook mother. Like she will, when a celebrity dies because she will share every news outlet where it has the same headline but a different picture of the celebrity. So-and-so dead at 79. Dead at 79. So-and-so, actor of blah, blah, blah. But she's also that person who is just like, she loves my brother and me. And, even though we're both in our mid 30s, she's still like, you're still my children. So if, someone comes and says a nasty thing about you on the internet, I'm gonna be like knocking down their door and be like, what'd you say about my baby? But and there have been like during the, the height of the Me Too movement, you would see posts of, all, men are trash and blah, blah, blah. And my mom would be one of those people who's like, well, not all men. And I'm like, I appreciate that, but I know I'm not one of those men. Yeah. So I don't need the defense. Like, unfortunately it's that, one bad apple, ruins the bunch. It's like, I understand that. And I feel that, people who know me know that I'm an ally toward that. And I don't feel the need to advertise it like some people do. That's why, like Facebook, I've been trying to more share educational stuff and, this is where you need to go, sign this petition, reach out to this, statement or whatever. And I don't need to say, I'm an ally. Yeah. Just be it.
Because it should just go without saying by your actions.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, and the people who know me, they know. So, when I ask, friends of mine that I've known for like decades and I'm like, well, what do I need to do? And they're like, just continue doing what you're doing, which is, be the person that you are. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, be an educator in this time, I think. I think, I saw you, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, because when you were talking about your mum, it sort of reminded me that you put out, you wrote quite a long post, and I think it was around the BLM movement as well. And I saw a comment from your mum, so that's my son, everyone. They're really proud. I made the anytime I want people to understand. Was it the cake analogy?
It was the cake analogy. Yeah, the cake and the pie analogy. I always have to liken it to food. I tell people, I'm like, well, we all to some extent like food. We've all had food at some point. So I think food is one of the best ways to really get and so, this was during the height of the, I mean, people are still saying it, but when people were just like, well, all lives matter. And it's like, yes, but
that black moment's a blood boil every time. I've heard it too many times over the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I had seen it. I had someone that she shared a comment like she shared a thing on her page, Black Lives Matter. And one of her, again, she's the person who discovers Facebook and like all of her high school friends from the 60s or, friending her. And these are very, stunted people. Like she's more progressive than a lot of the people that she's friends with. And so every now and then you'll see a comment and it's like, and I saw All Lives Matter and I'm like, well, how do I say you're a flippin' idiot while also trying to educate and try to like add a perspective where it's like, okay, yes, we're saying that, but all lives won't matter until Black Lives Matter. And here's why we're saying Black Lives Matter. Again, it comes, I'm eating a cake and, ooh, this cake is delicious. Well, pie is delicious too. Yes, but I'm not eating pie. Pie is, it's not on the table, literally or metaphorically. Like, so, yeah. Every now and then I like to make my mom proud with my Facebook posts.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not all just Doctor Who and random stuff like that.
I have used your analogy to try and explain it to people as well as the house being on fire one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't wet down all the houses because one's on fire. You put out the fire first.
Yeah. And then everyone.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But like you say, it's difficult having that conversation with people without coming across A, condescending, and B, like aggressive or antagonistic. And especially in this world that we live in at the moment, where it's, I'm not going to, I was going to say black and white, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's yes or no, you're right or you're wrong. And people, it's hard to have a nuanced conversation with people who have their mind made up.
Well, it's even more difficult through like an internet platform.
Yeah.
You're in the comfort of your own home. Like, I'm saying words at you, but if I decide to put no meaning behind those words, then what are you going to do about it? Throw more words at me? Well, good, because I mean, you have fun with that. Your words are already meaningless to me.
And again,
to your point,
the
if
other
you show
thing,
any kind of aggression, then they can automatically dismiss you, and they're like, but this person.
I'm being
has
oppressed.
A tone.
But it is
violence inherited in the system.
It is difficult as well because I mean, I suppose we're all guilty of it. Everyone, when you put your opinion on the internet, and somebody contradicts that opinion, you just get defensive automatically.
The problem is as well, like you can read into what someone is saying to you because there's no pitch or tone in text. Like it's very difficult to kind of get how someone is talking. If they're going against what you're saying, then you're automatically being like, well, they're being aggressive, and it may not be the case. But,
they just may not be able to use their words properly. That's why I make the joke where I'm like, if you comment on something that I've done but you didn't like it, I'm going to automatically assume that you're being a smartass. Like, if you like something that I've done and then you make a comment, it's like, okay, well they liked the thing, so maybe they're just kind of like poking fun in a fun way.
Yeah, but if there's no like with that comment, then it's the other thing.
I mean, nowadays you can do the one, you can put out the little sarcastic tongue, can't you? Like, so they know that you're...
Emojis are actually quite a good way of communicating that kind of thing, if everyone has the same idea of what they mean.
I love the eye roll. I love the eye roll emoji. He's great.
I do the eye roll, and then I have the sideways look where I'm like, okay, I'm getting the full animation. Like,
it's like, oh, fuck's sake.
Oh man.
Oh well. I think we should probably call it here because my dad's coming around in a couple of hours, and we've got some
barbecue.
We've got Patreons that would like content as well, so we better do something for them.
Well, they're paying us, so
I suppose. We got a dad coming around for a socially distanced barbecue. No Twitter or Facebook.
Oh, very good, very good. Ban the phones. Yeah.
Really good. Yes, very good.
But no, Andrew, it's been great to
Yes.
have a chat with you. It's been far too long.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because we're awful, as you well know, at organising things. Even to the point where, like, I think I texted Ant yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah,
Wednesday,
that's fine." And it was like the middle of the day, and I still didn't get round to texting you until like 9 o'clock at night or something.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but you text me yesterday. Saying, "Oh." But the reason you texted me yesterday was because you had texted me like 3 days previous, and you're like, "Did you get those messages I sent 3 days ago?"
Well, this is the thing, right?
Yeah,
I text Ant about things, so I text him about you coming on.
Yeah,
right.
And then I heard nothing for 3 days, and then he's posting his thing about The Last of Us 2 and the pens, and I'm like, oh, by the way, now I know that you're definitely alive. Have you seen any of my messages?
Yeah, it's just weird that like he texted me directly on my phone.
Not
asking 3 days ago, and then like
and then I had to comment on a thing.
I
had to comment on a thing of yours on Facebook to make you answer your phone. But this is what it's like. But we got it together eventually. It's been great to have a chat with you. I know that it's been a bit of a weird conversation, but then all conversations at the moment are.
But I think it's quite good to get the opinion of someone across the other side of the water on this as well. It's like a different...
But it's just interesting to see that both of our countries are doing exactly the same thing, and none of us know what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. We are all in it together, except for the people at the top.
So are we going out? Are we allowed? Maybe. Let's go out anyway. Is this 2 meters? Yeah, maybe.
The whole Western world.
And I think they're reducing it to either like a 1.5 meter. Like I think that I saw something pop up.
Jesus.
Is it 1.5 or 1 meter? And it's like, what does that 50 centimeters do? What is that? Why are we reducing this gap?
You speak to certain men, it means a whole lot.
Well, yeah. Good point. But we tend to over-exaggerate. So,
although to be fair,
what is 50 centimeters?
To be fair, on the quiz last night with a bunch of the PodPals, all 7 or 8 of us in that quiz, actually got how many centimeters were in an inch. So we do know.
Well, because do you know how I did it? Here was my level of thinking on this, because I know a 30 centimetre ruler is roughly 12 inches. So I sort of did a bit of maths. And I was like, well, it's got to be below 3. So, and there was only one answer below 3. So I got it.
But otherwise, I wouldn't have said it was below 3.
That's it. I was like, it's what
you got a rep to maintain.
Yeah. That's how I did it. So... Anyway.
And on that note, we've learned something.
Have we though?
No.
But we're in this weird country where we sort of do a mishmash of imperial and metric anyway. Like we're traveling miles an hour, we're measuring meters, but it's
gallons and pints.
I'm 6'1" as well, so there's that. So what is that in centimeters? I don't know.
A lot.
That's how I've been measuring 2 meters, actually. It's like, well, that's about 6 foot. So if I fell over and then there was still half a foot.
I've done the same.
But yeah, actually, Chloe goes to me, is this about 2 meters? Or she goes, how tall is 2 meters? I said, it's about a me. Like,
it's about a me.
It comes to the Jaws analogy, isn't it? It's 20 foot, no, 25 and 3 tons on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 6'1", so it's roughly me and a bit. It's me and a bit. Like it's
measure things in dads.
Yes. That's it.
Oh God. That's cool.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, these are the things that we've learned how to deal with the 2 meter barrier.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do a little bit of stuff on the Patreon as well. So stick around. But yeah, until next time, 2 weeks time, maybe we'll try and get someone else on the Zoom. Maybe we'll have Andrew back. Maybe we'll just open it up to everyone again. Who knows?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
But until next time, I've been Tom.
I've been Ant.
I've been Andrew.
Bye.
Bye.